You're tuned to Planet Vero Radio, and I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partners Show. I've got my co-host Jeannie Roller with me on live stream. She's in Indiana. And we are talking today about this book that I kind of am skimming through, and it's about drugs. It's about Paxil. It's about Prozac. It's written by an investigative journalist. It's called Side Effects. And it says, prosecutor, a whistleblower, and a best-selling antidepressant on trial. And then it's also got a blurb from a doctor. The blurb says, a richly detailed account of the disgraceful self-serving ties between drug companies and the psychiatric profession. And that is said by Dr. Arnold S. Relman, a professor emeritus, Harvard Medical School. So pretty good credentials right there, Jeannie. And it goes on to talk about the person that actually wrote the book. Her name is Allison Bass. She was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize writing for the Boston Globe as the medical health reporter. And the article that she was nominated for had to deal with sexual misconduct to a patient by that patient's psychiatrist, and that patient had gone to Allison Bass to tell the story. And when she did that, other stories came out from other patients that were also sexually assaulted, sexual misconduct by their psychiatrist. So, we keep hearing, Jeannie, that this stuff doesn't happen, but yet, and I'm not even stumbling over the books. They're right out there for everyone to read, and it's just amazing that what do we actually do to stop some of this. So this book is from 2008, and it talks about Prozac, Paxil, and Zoloft, and how we see these younger students being prescribed these medications, and in a lot of instances, I guess really is what the gist of it, the crux of it is the side effects were never given out by the drug companies. They weren't told by the drug companies, so a lot of these kids, these patients had severe side effects. The biggest one is suicide. A lot of them were cutting themselves, things like that. And so we do know that drugs are beneficial. But then when you don't give out all the instances of what could possibly happen, some of these things do happen. And that's what this book is about. And I was just amazed once again, and I shouldn't be amazed, and in a wrong way, that, here's 3 more drugs. We read about the Sackler family and OxyContin and how the stuff wasn't given out, the side effects. And these side effects weren't told to the doctors either, according to a lot of the stuff that I've read in this book. So, Jeannie Roll, what do you think about all of this stuff?
Well, in the same vein, I was reading an article today about, I don't know which state, but a state's appeals court said that mental health patients can be given drugs against their will if the doctor or the facility rules them to be incapable of understanding. So that kind of follows along with what you're talking about, is so many of these people can be given drugs against their will and they have no control over their bodies. So that is kind of the same thing. I mean, people should have a choice.
Well, you should be given the informed consent, again, for the umpteenth time. I mean, you want to blindly trust, but I just don't see it anymore that you can do that.
Well, no, you can't blindly trust. I mean, I think you learned that. I learned that through my husband's experience, that you cannot blindly trust. Many of these drugs have side effects, and most of the time, I would say the side effects aren't fully disclosed. So, especially the mental health drugs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I totally agree. It used to be the day where you could blindly trust. I mean, call me naive and right. We're all right now. That's why we do this podcast, because you just can't blindly trust. You have to question this stuff. But where do we stand a chance as patients when it goes on to say in this book, and it did in the book about the Sacklers with the OxyContin, the FDA is approving some of these things. I mean, I don't know how to get a handle on it. I really don't know what to think. I mean, there's 2 big court cases also about metformin, I know there was. that it causes cancer, and the other one was Zantac, which is a stomach drug, which is known, it's been proven to cause cancer. And there were some minuscule parts of the drug, and I don't know how the drugs are made up. I don't know. I wouldn't even pretend to know any of that stuff that they knew that did cause cancer, but yet the stuff was in the ingredients were in there anyway. So I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't.
Well, it's the same with a lot of drugs. They know that they're bad, but a lot of the lawsuits don't get through because technicalities get them thrown out of court.
Yeah, that is true about that. Or, I mean, I don't want to say it's quashed, but I can't figure out some of this stuff. I really don't. It's totally mind-boggling. I say it all the time. But here's another instance, and this is in 2008. So a lot of these kids committed suicide. And the doctors didn't know, that they were prescribing these things. I mean, wow. I mean, the doctors don't stand a chance either in a lot of these instances.
Now, I mean, when you listen to some of the commercials on the mental health drugs that you see on TV or in a magazine, when it says it may increase the rate of suicide, it's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way a mental health drug that is supposed to treat you for depression should make you sink into further depression to the point of committing suicide.
Right. And I wonder sometimes, too, and this is my own personal opinion, that some of those ads that you see on TV, and there's a lot of ads on TV about drugs, I think we can all agree on that, go over what maybe really it is that it could happen. And I don't really know what to believe anymore, honestly. I don't. So did they now say, okay, that couldn't possibly cause suicide if you're taking so-and-so and so-and-so, because some of these other ones were proven that they did actually cause that kind of thing? Not to everyone. I mean, these drugs were beneficial to a lot of people. I mean, the book says that. But then the ones that they weren't, it's the same as what we've talked about over and over again, midazolam, fentanyl. I mean, those are two powerful drugs. And each person is individual. So my thought on it, and again, we've said this umpteen times, is that the things that you tell your doctor and the paperwork that you fill out should absolutely be taken seriously. And when it doesn't, that's really scary.
Yes, it is. That a lot of times the healthcare providers don't believe the patients when the patient says, I haven't had an adverse reaction to a certain drug and I cannot take it. They do not always believe the patient. No,
I totally agree with you, Jeannie. I know that in personal instances, and I know it from people that we've had on here before. And these anesthesia drugs are so powerful drugs. And I've had doctors that I've interviewed and I've asked that say a lot of these, and we've said this all too, the operation shouldn't necessarily everyone be general anesthesia. It's just that they're using too powerful of drugs. They're just using too powerful of drugs just to giving this stuff across the board. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to wake some of this up, because we're all being, in my opinion, being put in harm's way by just zooting everybody with fentanyl and Versed and, let's call it a day, throw it another bag of propofol and here we go. And I'm not trying to make fun of anyone or anything like that or be contrite, but a lot of the stuff that I've seen and read, and like I said, people we've interviewed have said that that's what they've seen. So it's more than just the two of us that are doing it.
Truthfully, Cindy, most doctors don't tell you about the side effects of drugs that they prescribe. They probably don't know those side effects.
Yeah.
They make it your responsibility to find out and to make that decision. So a lot of times when they prescribe a drug, here it is, take it. Mm-hmm. You have questions, ask your pharmacist.
Well, that is true. That is true. And the other thing, too, is though they're relying on the fact checks or whatever you want to call them, that, where this drug came from, that it's been validated and it's been vetted and when it goes to their hands. So, that's, let's cover that, too. Anyway, we got a couple of seconds left, and I want to say thank you for listening to Planet Vero Radio. Please stay tuned.